Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Welcome back to the Liberal Artist Podcast. I am your host, as always, Bodio. With me, I have Kaylie Horowitz.
Hello.
And Andy Gibby Gibson.
I didn't think of anything smart to say this time, so I'm just announcing my presence. And you know what? That's good enough.
It's good enough.
Is Andy in the room with us?
Ooh, it's still spooky around here, kind of.
It's really not, man.
Hey, man, like, it just got dark outside of my window before 5 o'clock because of fucking daylight savings time. It's still spooky, in my opinion.
It's been dark up here before 5 o'clock for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's gonna get worse because of, like, the ghost of a stupid tradition that the entire nation is still following for some reason.
It is currently 81 degrees hot in sunny Los Angeles.
Oh, wow. I can see why everybody's moving there.
We had cold weather for 1 week.
We had snow on Halloween.
Oh.
Good God, man. That's just, like, wrong.
It was actually kind of beautiful. Like, we went out to a Halloween party and, like, all day it was like, it's been cold. Like, there's a chill in the air. It's autumn. And
it was the announcement
evening,
of the foul witch Mariah of Carey is coming.
Oh, I'd honestly, like, that evening, we drove like 10 minutes away to where this party was. Delightfully, it's a theater that likes like spooky, scary stuff that's built out of an old haunted church.
Fitting.
But like driving on the way there, like driving through our neighborhood, we're like, there's no kids out here. Like, it's 6 o'clock. Where are the trick-or-treaters? Like, what's going on? Drive like, we're 2 minutes away from the theater, and then finally, oh, here's all the trick-or-treaters. So I guess everybody who lives here just like goes to this neighborhood. Interesting. And right as we were saying that, the snow started coming down.
Oh, no.
And I went, oh, no, the trick-or-treater.
It's Nightmare Before Christmas, baby.
And so like we parked, went inside to the party, hung out there for about an hour and a half or so. And we were like...
Your costume was great.
We found it on clearance at Spirit Halloween. So we went, yeah, let's do BioShock. We were... Our first Halloween married, we went as a little sister and not as a big daddy, just a splicer.
Okay.
But
it was great. Your makeup was fantastic.
Oh, I did that in like 10 minutes and I went, this looks surprisingly good.
Just take the compliment.
No, I was quite proud of it. It looked like real scary in pictures. It was like, ooh, okay.
Very good.
Yeah. But we left the theater, like, we were like, all right, yeah, party. It was kind of winded down for us a little bit. Had some pizza, had some drinks, non-alcoholic, really good mocktails, though. Oh, my God.
Ooh.
We had, like, a Reese's peanut butter thing that tasted like chocolate peanut butter, but, like, as a chocolate milk. It was really good.
Fuck yeah.
Walked outside, and it was that, like, my Disney Floridian-driven brain for anybody that's ever been to, like Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party at the Magic Kingdom, or any sort of like, it's Christmas at the theme park kind of place. Because like Universal does their own Christmas stuff. Busch Gardens has their own things. It's that fake snow that's made of like little clumps of bubbles.
Yeah. That
get like blown out over the heads of the audience, like by like leaf blowers, basically.
Sure.
But we walked out of this theater and that was the first thought in my head, was like, wow, the real snow looks like fake snow. Or maybe the fake snow was really just that good at looking like real snow.
Maybe the snow was in our hearts all along.
Like when we got there, it was just like, oh, little flurries coming down. But like, oh man, this sucks if these kids were like ready to go out and trick or treat. And then all of a sudden they're getting snowed on. But then later in the evening, it was like, honest to God, that like, wow, it's the magic of Christmas kind of snow.
Way too
But
early.
then we had to go get dinner at Wendy's and I had to wait for the guy to come back and take my order at the drive-thru. So I'm waiting with my window half open as like snow is blowing past and around the window of my car.
Just close the window.
He said he would be right back, and I like rolled it up a little bit, and
You
then
can
it took
roll it
longer
back
than a
down
little bit.
when he gets back. Just close
We
the
were also
window.
trying to read the menu, and we couldn't because half the lights were out.
It's Wendy's, Kaylie. Like, how does everybody not like know their Wendy's order
You get a fucking
already?
Baconator with the medium fry, and then you're done.
Because Ian was trying to decide. They took away the pretzel bun chicken sandwich and
Yeah,
replaced
it's a
it with
limited
some.
time offer.
They
Kaylie.
replaced it with some godforsaken nacho stuffed bun thing. It looks horrendous. It looks like an abomination.
You can't take these things for granted, Kaylie. They're limited time offerings. The pretzel bun only comes so many times a year. And
But
by
it
so
was
many
very
times, I mean like 6 separate times at this point.
And that's the thing. I was like, surely it's back. It's not.
No, we're cutting this the fuck off right now. Gibby, what did you dress up as for Halloween?
I too did some makeup that when somebody
Yours
complimented
was-
me, I said, "Oh, I did this in this. I just did this in 10 minutes."
This whole thing.
I just threw this together.
I was Beetlejuice,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was really fun because I was debating like at the last minute, thinking to myself, "Okay, realize, young man, that there's a distinct possibility at your very serious job that you'll be the only person who is
That's
dressed
right.
up, and not only that, you're going to be committing to 5 pounds of makeup on your face."
Mhm.
As
Mhm.
well as a Beetlejuice suit that essentially is no more than like pajamas in material.
Yep.
But at the all staff meeting where everybody employed was going to be there.
And don't forget the wig.
Yeah. And a wig that I fully spray painted
Nice.
with several coats to make it the right color. Because you got to
I
have
didn't
that
know you
nice
spray
mossy
painted
green.
it.
Oh yeah, it was just like a white wig to start. I spray painted it and I did the makeup on the fake
Ooh,
skin.
on the lace front. Yeah.
Yeah, to make sure that it was all good to go.
Ooh,
Because
he's
like this
good.
this part right here was all wig. So to my surprise, like getting to the all staff meeting, I would say a good quarter of like the people, there were probably like 120 people, like maybe a good quarter of them were all dressed up.
That's fun.
And there were like group costumes
Yeah.
and like great costumes in total. And
But were you the most committed?
I was definitely the most committed, I would say. And they didn't plan to do a costume contest, but a day later, because so many of us were dressed up, somebody organized an in retrospect costume contest.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up coming in third, and I was really happy.
Who
Who
won?
came in first?
Who do we have to flame online?
No, don't you dare. The person that came in first, he's a lovely man. He's
This
the
is how politics
photographer.
work. We start running a smear campaign.
No, not against Joe the photographer. He's the best. He's like a 60-year-old guy that went full
Oh.
80s punk with like he
Ooh.
did a mohawk with gel and wore like fake tattoo sleeves. He had like a fake septum ring. The guy rules. I love him. And Kaylee's new best friend, the pumpkin man, came in second.
I did really like his costume. He just seems like a nice guy.
He is. Man, like I am a very happy boy. This is the happiest bronze I've ever gotten because I was just like them. It was a wonderful day, and we had a huge like Halloween party where I got tons of good footage, and it was wonderful. Then I came back home. I bought full-sized bars of candy to give out to trick-or-treaters, and I ended up like clearing almost the entire bar. At the end of the night, there were only like 3 Hershey's with almonds that were left, and I was just like, that's the right candy to leave behind, kids. Those
Good. The
those
kids
your
are all
parents
right.
are gonna eat. So I was very, very happy. It was my best Halloween in years.
Aw.
So
That's
like,
amazing.
it really put the Halloween magic back in me. Bo, any?
Hot me?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't grow up celebrating Halloween, so I don't do it very often.
That's right.
The
that's
devil's
right.
holiday.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
The church was just like, you're going to hell.
Yeah, yep, a lot of church goings in my youth. The day before the October 30th, my improv group finally had our first show.
I saw. I was so
I
excited.
saw a video of that.
Very fun. At Tall Trees Improv on Instagram. The plug.
Hell yeah. I saw that you were getting were you getting married in one of them?
Yes, that was one of our seats. So our group does we kind of do 2 forms of improv. One is the mono scene, the other is the pretty flower. which is like
these are advanced improv terms.
Yeah, the shorthand for a pretty flower is the Family Guy style, where somebody says something, yeah, and then all of a sudden nobody in the room is impressed.
The
no, but
it's
that like in real time though is the thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Family
somebody...
Guy, yeah, because they get to sit around and write stupid fart jokes and whatever the hell comes to their minds for weeks at a time, and then go put it on an animated series.
Yeah,
versus improv, it's that like go pray it makes people laugh.
With the pretty flower, it's you're doing your scene. Somebody says something wild off the wall, whatever, and then you do tags into playing that idea out. Then you go back to that root scene, whether you come directly in time to where it was or you jump forward in time, whatever. And then a mono scene is we're all in a room and we're all stuck here for 10, 20, 30 minutes. This is the scene, make it work. Both of which my team has a lot of fun doing. I think we lean harder mono scenes, but that's whatever. But we had our first show.
Woohoo!
It was very good. Lots of compliments.
Awesome.
We had the lighting guy stop us and be like, "Hey, y'all are funny." And I see a lot. He was like, I see a lot of bad improv, and you guys are not.
I was gonna say,
like,
when tech people you don't know say, "I really liked your thing," that is like the highest form of compliment I feel like I could ever get. Like that's what I got on my master's project last fall, was from one of our like lead like technical staff kind of people, whatever. He went, this made me like think, it reminded me of seeing something years ago, but like I think I'm gonna be thinking about this. And I went, I can feel no greater honor than this right now. I don't care what my advisors say about this. Well,
it's because tech people watch everything.
Exactly.
Everything. There's stuff
They're forced to.
We know we're friends with tech people.
They've
told us a lot of shit.
They tell us all about their awful shows that they have to sit through.
But they're getting paid.
Most
of the time.
So that felt pretty good. I think the next thing we have coming up is World's Greatest Improv has 3v3 improv coming up.
To the death.
To the death. I'm gonna kill other improvisers to prove I'm the funniest.
I'm pretty sure you're a lot better built and stronger than most of them are.
Yeah,
so I don't think you're gonna have trouble like snapping any necks.
Our weapons are all object work, so I have to kill a man with a fork I found under my shoe. Or
that's pretty easy. Like,
you just some shit. I don't know.
You're gonna have to kill people with the props from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna give me. They're gonna like break it out.
Bag of props.
Have you ever killed a man with a giant piece of foam?
I have now.
Yes, several times actually.
But yeah, we're doing World's Greatest Improv is having a 3v3 tournament with a bunch of improv teams, and myself and two others from my team.
Why am I just seeing you in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for this?
That's my
Where
dream.
Somebody tags you in and you fly in from across the scene and hit somebody with a critical.
I was just thinking of Overwatch.
Whoa.
Just a critical pun instantly takes a man's head off.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
That's wonderful. I'm glad you're getting to do that.
Yeah, man. But no trick-or-treating for your boy.
I could assume the apartment complex is not always like the most ideal setup, although it is like very contained. Like
it's contained, but a lot of people here don't have kids, and nobody really talks to each other. Which is
when I lived in St. Pete, like when because it was just one tall building, I left a bucket outside of my door because people would be walking through the hallway. Like I left a bucket of trick-or-treat candy, and I did get some people taking from it. But also that was like, I think there were a couple of like families with small kids in that building, but like it was easy enough to like go just wander around your floor or go up and down a couple floors, do that, whatever. But you know, we were really hopeful when we first moved here and went, nah, I don't think this is gonna work. There's too many like barriers to entry to make it worthwhile, and we're not gonna just like leave a bucket of candy outside in the cold sort of thing.
Last thing before we move on to the main topic, my least favorite thing to see on the internet over the last week is all the house cams of people leaving the bucket outside their house. And then like one or two kids or one family coming and overturning the entire bucket.
Oh my God.
And just running off with all the kids. If that's you, dear listener, stop listening to the podcast. Leave.
You're not allowed here.
You're not allowed. You're not
I
cool.
did see a very wholesome video of like that same exact setup, except the bowl was empty. So some of the kids left their candy in the bowl for the next person.
Aww.
That's nice.
That's so sweet.
If that is
those
you, dear
kids get
listener,
the king size bars.
Yeah. If that is you, dear listener, if you did that, we'd love to have you. Thanks for being
You can stick around.
Trick or treat.
All right. On our spooky shit.
Yeah.
Now for something less funny, more spooky.
Yeah, yeah. Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities.
Totoro-san.
Don't ever do that again.
The little girl on the set of Pacific Rim used to call him that.
Nope.
It was fun.
Nope.
All
Nope.
right.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
All right.
Nope.
No Miyazaki zone, apparently.
I will
No
have
Guillermo
no.
del Toro.
I will have no weebs in my house. I will have no candy.
Then you better
stealers
leave.
in my- Listen. I am not on trial here.
I'm on trial. Don't I have a right to an attorney?
No.
All of the anime posters behind you, my man, would speak
Hey,
differently.
Fuck off. There are two. There are two.
That's
There
two
are.
more than there are in my
Two.
household, weeb.
Fuck
Are you
off.
sure you're not living in an asylum, Gibby? It does look a little underdecorated.
I have a singular painting so far. I'm getting there.
Okay, there's progress.
It's a nice painting of a cat on a pink background. That's all. Maybe I am living in an asylum.
Says
I'm not
hanging.
certain.
Actually, yeah, no, I retract my statement. Only one painting on a wall is a little more cause for concern than like two minimal paintings like on opposite sides of the apartment, sort of like
That's our horror story.
none is arguably a choice. One is a little bit of a concern.
That's
I'm getting there.
Our horror story is the man with one painting.
Art's
Our
expensive.
story tonight.
Art is expensive, okay?
It is. It is.
Kaylie, you suggested this one. So like
I did?
Yeah,
I
you
did.
did. You did.
It's been ages. We've had this one kicking around for a while as an idea, and we just had to wait for the season to get here. And then we
And then we
shuffled
missed it.
things around again.
Yeah, because I was like, hey, Castlevania. And that
They
was
had to
my
go and
folly.
drop a new season of Castlevania on us and ruin our plans.
Yep.
But no, Cabinet of Curiosities is, if you missed it last year for Halloween and spooky season, you could still watch it because it's on Netflix. Things never go away until they do. But this is a mini series, I guess.
Anthology,
8
I
episodes.
think, is the best.
Yeah, anthology. You're right.
Yeah.
Produced and sort of coordinated and orchestrated by the horror master himself, Guillermo del Toro. But each episode is directed and written by a different pair, like of writers directors from across sort of the contemporary scope of horror or like psychological thriller kind of minds and foci. Each episode is not connected to the next one, but it is usually based on pre-existing material from other horror writers, storytellers that are readapted into these fun, like, 35 to... Actually, no, not even. I don't think the shortest one's even 35 minutes. Most of these are pushing, like, an
They're
hour,
well
if
over
not
an
an hour
hour.
and a half.
Yeah. I think the shortest one is 38.
That sounds right.
Yeah, like, I think the shortest is closest to 45 minutes, and then
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
them are almost like,
They're all
my
over
guy,
an
you
hour.
just made a movie.
Yeah, it's very Twilight Zone in that.
Yes.
Like, they are connected but only like loosely in theming, like not in like plot.
None of the stories or
anything.
plots are actually like serialized in connectivity.
As far as I know, only 2 of them have the same writer, at least the same like writer of the material they're based on, because 2 of them are based off of Lovecraft.
Yes.
Those are the bad ones.
So, and I guess to kind of like run through some of these, because we're going to be talking about the differences, obviously, between them, or like the different styles of horror, because they are not all, ooh, scary monster, ooh, jump scare, ooh, spider webs, creepy dark places. Like some of them are wildly aesthetically different. Which is so exciting in this idea of this is a cabinet of curiosities. These are things that are intriguing, but the closer you look, the more terrifying they become, which is really exciting. And I can talk about this later. I was wistfully pining at some point driving down to our wedding, talking with Ian of that, like, man, it sucks we don't get things like the Twilight Zone anymore. Everything has to be a serialized, contained story within itself, and it has to be immediately good, otherwise we don't give it a chance to develop. You don't get things like this that just get to be, here's some art, we made some things, they don't relate to anything about each other, but we've made stuff and we let people go to town.
I want to push back on that because I think we do still get stuff like that. This show being an exact
I think another comparison would be Black Mirror, probably.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
There's also a remake
I think that's the
of,
thing is that like when that was coming out, is it still in production, or did they technically like end or hiatus? I don't remember.
Yeah.
When it first launched, absolutely, that it was it's the Twilight Zone of our generation, and it is. There's something to me more satisfying about these than Black Mirror, and I don't know why.
It might be horror more up your alley is probably it. Just like the aesthetic of it is more up your speed. But like again, like there was a remake of Twilight Zone in 2019
with Jordan Peele at the helm.
Yeah, American Horror Story is kind of like a macro version of this. I know that. I know you don't like that, but
no, it's that like you're right, like an entire season of it.
That's why I said
as
macro.
compared to a singular episode of like the Twilight Zone. Like absolutely, it's just that within the last 5 years, American Horror Story's really fallen off.
I've never seen it.
Sad.
So.
Ugh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've never seen American Horror Story, so I know of it. But
early stuff is pretty good, and then within the last couple of years, it's just been okay. We're just going for things and banking on
nostalgia,
star power, and
Twists.
What's her name? The blonde girl that's in every freaking season ever. That's like his muse or whatever.
The one who's like, I bet you didn't expect to see me again, bitch.
Yeah, that's like always a mean girl archetype.
I wouldn't know.
I don't know. All I know is the season with clowns and circus shit is good. That's all I know.
Yeah. No, like I early stuff is really solid, and then at some point within the last handful of years, every iteration has just been a weird like, what's happening here? We were really fine being in separate universes for each season, and then for some reason we had to do a like interconnected purgatory something verse.
Whack. They should have had it all separate, like this show.
Heh.
Watch this hard turn. Gibby's trying to. Gibby's like, I'm taking
we
the
keep
wheel.
getting distracted.
I really want to talk about this show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about. So there are 8 episodes.
Yeah.
I watched 4 1/4.
Wow.
Because I hated it.
You hated one episode.
I hated one. The rest, I'm like, okay. It's we'll get into it. But
you hated one that I actually really enjoyed, so I'm gonna be like,
do we want to start with that one?
I don't know.
No,
Would we rather?
I think we should start from the beginning and then go to the end.
A very good place to start.
Lot 30, season 1, episode 1. There are 8 episodes, so we'll say the names of all of them. Spoilers ahead, obviously. Lot 36, Graveyard Rats, The Autopsy, The Outside, Pickman's Model, Dreams in the Witch House, The Viewing, and The Murmuring. Those are the 8 episodes.
We should probably give each of these somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, and I have a feeling Pickman is going to take a little longer.
Probably not. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's just bad. Lot 36. This show or this anthology does a weird thing where, and it's fine, right? They definitely start with their weakest foot forward, right?
I agree 100%.
I don't. It's one of the weaker, but I don't think it's the weakest. But I think when you hear Guillermo del Toro's making a horror series, I think this was a good one to start with because I think it's what you expect.
Yeah, quick synopsis. The episode is about, and there's so many names. I couldn't hold on to any of them. I know Stacy. She's the only one I remember.
You can just say the archetypes of the people.
Yeah.
That's what they are.
The main character is
Our guy,
a very, very unhappy man, who buys a storage unit in an attempt to make $12,000 to repay some debtors. And spooky shit is in the storage unit. Who would have guessed?
No,
but it's worth a lot of money.
But the money. It's very weird to me how ham-fisted this episode felt.
My fists are hams.
What do I do with these hands?
They're brown sugar glazed. They're delicious.
They can't be
not
brown
even
sugar.
honey
I
baked.
hate them. No, it's just. They very much so wanted to be like, yeah, this guy's a modern day right wing modern day. It's during HW.
Yeah. It's 91.
It's 91
on the,
and this guy's super hard right.
You make a very detestable protagonist from the start, so that there's like a feeling of the monster got you at the end, so you don't have to like empathize with this guy. Because he's a jerk,
right?
Like, and it's not just ham-fisted in that; it's ham-fisted in the way that it sets up its plot. Because, like, this isn't just like Chekhov's gun; this is Chekhov's armory right here. Like you, take this super racist guy who buys a lot, and this nice Hispanic woman just comes up and she's like, "Oh, can I please go through one of your old lots? My family my family stuff's in there. Can I have it?" And he's like, "No, I'm racist. No, you can't." And of course, at the end, when she's the one that could help him escape the monster, she's just like, "You know what? Maybe fuck that guy."
Which also does make her a murderer, right? Like, she's not absolved of sin in this moment.
It's the same question with Batman Begins, like the whole, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm not going to save you. Well, you're a little complicit.
Yeah,
it's the trolley problem.
It's like, that still makes you a murderer, Batman.
It's just like, I'm actually not having to worry about it, because we don't have good Samaritan laws in this state.
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about any of this.
Second degree murder is still murder.
It's a little silly in that way, but like, I think,
but it's big scary monster.
But she didn't even know. He was just desperate to get out, and she was like, "LOL, click."
Yeah, fuck that.
And then he got
here's that lock you gave me, asshole. I've used it on the door you're trying to get through. Like, my issue with this is that it's so backloaded in its exposition, and it's so heavy with its exposition. Like, the first half of this is just him acquiring it and explaining to the audience, here's why this guy needs money, and also he's a jerk. That's the first, like, good 30 minutes of it. And then, like, at a weird point, it's like, oh, by the way, your lot has occult shit from Nazi Germany.
Yeah, I was about to say just the like, ooh, it's scary. Ooh, it's Nazis.
Why did it only take us 30 minutes to get to Nazis?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like, that was my same thought, was like, and we're already here. Okay.
It's really just like, okay, great. So the German guy, who probably is also like, a Nazi from the old country, is just like, "Oh yeah, you have 3 of the books of the evil dark here, but you must get the 4th. Oh, don't cross the barrier. Here are my candles of protection." And it's just like, okay, so we see how this is going. He's not going to heed the warning. They're
Yep.
going to go to the scary place behind the lot, and guess what? Ooh, occult sacrifice.
Mhm.
Oh, where was the missing socialite that gets mentioned once again, like 30 minutes into it? Oh, she's right here. A victim of the
Oh.
occult. Oh, great, cool. And then he does a stupid thing and reawakens the demon, and then
Yep.
it kills everybody. And
I
it's
don't-
just like, the pacing is just bad.
I didn't mind that. When I said ham-fisted, all that stuff, like I don't mind the lore dump. I don't mind the, oh shit, we have to get a demon in here somehow. Here you go. All right. For
Yeah.
me,
Be free.
for me, it was the how much of a right-wing guy this guy is, the
Yeah.
conversation, the main character and the man who owns the
The like
lot.
manager.
Yeah, how they're like, I'm black and my people died too. It's like, I'm white and I only see green. And it's like, all right, this is like watching Black Panther again, where it's like, we
It's-
get it.
yeah.
There's racial trauma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that shit, but could we not? That's not what I
But it
want.
doesn't
That's not
count
what
when
I
it's
need to
set
do.
in 91 because that's progressive to
Yeah,
say
brother.
then.
It really isn't when like fucking Rush Limbaugh is coming over the radio.
Was that Rush
Right.
Limbaugh?
It wasn't, but it's supposed to be.
Basically, yeah.
Understood.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
It's very, very heavy-handed.
But as a piece of horror, like again, it's why
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily mind it. I think it was like low mid tier for me out
For
of the
sure.
whole batch, but it was that like when I'm expecting Guillermo del Toro, like, because again, we don't really get as much a shine on the directors, which I will say each episode does start with Guillermo kind of like pitching us the idea of like
Mhm.
what you are about to see is blank, and we get a little bit of a taste of
the
like
Twilight.
what's coming
it's the
up.
Twilight Zone intro.
It's exactly. It's that
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
Twilight Zone homage. He gives the credits of the names of directors
It's the Rod
of who's in
Sterling
charge of
moment.
each. Yeah. But when you hear it's Guillermo del Toro's thing, I think this one does a fairly good job of at least like it's heavy-handed in some areas, but we're
Mhm.
definitely checking those boxes of like what's happening. Okay. Our character, our circumstance, weird occult shit. Oh, and
Yeah.
a demon.
It's
like
it's a decent intro for the elements, not for
Yeah.
the execution.
Yeah.
Is how I think it is.
But it
it's
also-
my least favorite. But
Yeah, but it also sets up
covers.
the consistencies between every short story,
Yes.
which I'll get into a little later.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the most obvious. All of these are about collections of some sort. We'll really stretch the definition as much as we can of the word collection in a good way.
sure.
Definitely in a positive way. And all of these are about collections and people. They're either their obsession or interaction
Yeah.
with said collections.
Yeah.
And also sidebar shout outs to Mr. of the Bull of shouting out all the directors before every episode. I
Yeah.
really much so appreciate that. That's a
he's
cool
he's
thing to do.
definitely been regarded as like one of the good guys in Hollywood
Mhm.
to work with.
He
Because
still
I think
believes in things and makes things happen. And God, I love this man.
he cares very deeply about cinema as an art form, but
Mhm.
he really it strikes me as a guy who believes in filmmaking as a collaborative medium,
Mhm.
which is really, really nice to know that there's somebody nice that's doing good work.
Yeah.
It's just
Um,
so that-
Somebody believes in this.
If we spend a lot more time on every episode, I don't know if we'll be able to get through them all. Unfortunately,
the next one will be shorter,
Yeah, because it is shorter.
and it's also the same story.
All
All right, yeah.
Graveyard Rats.
Yeah.
Gibby, give me that synopsis.
Essentially similar plot to the last one. Bad man is in debt and needs to make a desperate action to be able to repay that debt, but the treasure that he finds to repay said debt is linked to something horrible from beyond his understanding, and he becomes victim of his own selfish desires.
Rodents
Yeah.
of unusual size. I don't believe
Rodents
that.
of unusual size. That's it. That's pretty
However-
much.
However, like I think this is a better version of Lot 36 because
Surprisingly, yeah.
one, I think it's more interesting from an environmental perspective. It talks about this in interwar Salem, Massachusetts. So
Yep.
20s, 30s ish. So I think it's a more interesting environment than 91, the Bush years, and it takes place in the graveyard in like the rat infested like tombs and underground of the graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it stylistically is more interesting than the last one because they play some more with lighting and color as well as tone. Because
Yeah.
despite the fact that like while he's trying to find his treasure amidst all of these demon rats that have infested his graveyard, that he robs because he's a grave robber.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
make mention of that. Despite the fact that he is like horrifically injured, like while trying to get this treasure, he is still a little bit silly and a bit of like a little gremlin, like a little scoundrel guy, where he's just like, yes, if you let me out of here with my eldritch infused treasure, dear Lord Jesus, I promise I won't do grave robbing anymore. As he's like talking to himself, like
Despite all
crawling
my
through
rage,
the dirt.
I'm still just a rat in a cage.
Stop it.
And you get
I'll
like
fight
the
you right
ironic,
now.
you get like what I think this does better with its Chekhov's gun is that the payoff feels more ironic, where like
Yeah.
he thinks he's seeing the sun as he's like going through the tunnels, and he's like, I made it, I escaped, and it's actually a shiny thing inside of a coffin.
They hit
like,
him.
I think
They hit him with the
I think that's
Assassin's
good.
Creed 2, brother. The Requiescati Pace. I was like, damn. They got that guy like Ezio?
Yeah, I think it's also cool. Like the first one's monster is fine, but it's
Yeah.
very Stranger Things. This is more
Yeah.
unique in that like it's
A big rat and a zombie?
like the giant zombie rat is a cool puppet prosthetic.
the giant rat that makes all of the rules.
Yeah, and like the zombie that he runs into, the fact that it's like the top half of the body and it's
Mhm.
crawling after him.
Yeah.
I think that's like a cool combo versus
This
like
one
vaguely Demogorgon.
landed weird with me because on the
yeah.
one hand, I'm like, it's kind of my least favorite, but I think that's because I really enjoy this as camp horror because there's pieces of it that are really terrifying. Like
Yeah.
some of those,
Yeah.
like the chase and pursuit of the big scary zombie rat thing. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. But then there are just some of these great moments of like, what the fuck am I watching? Like it's so campy and ridiculous, and yet they
Yeah.
are like absolutely committed to, yep, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And
I would say-
love that.
Like camp and macabre are
Yeah.
like the best
I
words.
don't know
I
what
would
that
use
word
for this.
means.
Where it is like
We don't have time to unpack all of camp, unfortunately. That's an episode in and of itself.
Well, macabre is the word. I don't know what it means.
Oh,
no,
okay, good.
I think macabre is best described in my mind of like horror, but like old. So like your original Frankenstein, your
Yeah.
like original like it's Victorian gore almost.
And
I would say.
I think that combined with a sense of like memento mori, remember
Yeah.
you'll die, like I
Yeah.
think kind of encompass, like there's something like Victorian romantic about it, as well
Yeah.
as no, but it's not just artistically fulfilling in some way to talk about death. It's that, hey, don't forget,
Mhm.
you're all, this is gonna be you. It could be you. Hopefully it's not you, but it will be someday.
I don't agree. Though I very much so see that this is the same as Lot 36. And the reason I see is because it's a guy who's desperate because of his debt. This is also the episode, and again, I'll get into this in a little bit. This is the episode where I started looking for patterns
Sure.
in all the stories. And yeah, the guy who's in a desperate situation because he owes somebody money. Right.
Mhm.
and he's finding a treasure that's linked to some horrible power.
Right.
Yeah. How desperate are you willing to be
Mhm.
to solve your problems?
Right.
Not talking about the sword, talking about like the eldritch like necklace
Yeah.
that he finds
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
black church down below.
Is the necklace eldritch or is just the zombie eldritch? Because it's a zombie.
All of it.
All of it. All of it.
all that shit.
Yeah.
Yes to all.
But that was the thing I didn't like, right? If it was just the rats, I would have been like, oh, that's kind of cool. But you could definitely tell they got like 30 minutes in. They're like, hey, we need another 10 minutes. And also there's a zombie. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Word?
Yeah. I get that.
I think that was partly why I was like, I don't know if I'm feeling this one, because it did sort of just feel like in the moment of watching, like,
Mhm.
yeah, we're throwing this at the wall now and
Yeah.
seeing what sticks. But again, I appreciated that, like, even if you're trying to stall for time, like, you're committed to where you're going,
Yeah,
as opposed to just like half-assing, like throwing more, oh, it's scary,
To Kaylie's
like,
point-
stuff into the elements.
To Kaylee's point, it's definitely the most fun episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the only one that might be more fun, just maybe from the ending, is the fourth one in the outside. Maybe
Fun?
That one's kind of
Fun?
camp. Oh, like the ending isn't camp, and
Oh, it absolutely. There's a separate conversation to that one.
I
We'll get there.
want to
Good
get to that
Lord.
one, so let's get to the next one.
Yeah.
The best one, motherfucking the autopsy.
I think, they did a great job laying it out. We've got the one that you expect, the one that gets funny, so you go, well, what the hell's gonna happen next? And then
Oh,
you
baby.
get the best one.
I could do an entire episode dedicated just to the autopsy.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It is so tight. It is so suspenseful. It is so well put together.
So I think my favorite thing about the autopsies, it wraps a bow on the story, which none of the other ones do. Which again I'll get into.
Yeah.
But it takes its time, but is still able to like get everything it
Mhm.
wants to, right? Like it's definitely the slowest of the episode.
The slowest that you saw.
I don't stand, and even then I don't think I stand by that. It feels very slow. Watch.
It's a slow
feels
burn
slow
mystery.
Yeah.
Because it's actually paced well. Like, I think what you're saying is right on the money of that. Just, it takes its time because it knows how much time to take. It doesn't waste time where it doesn't need to, which means then we can spend more time building to when's this other shoe gonna drop and how.
Synopsis, Bo.
There's aliens and they eat people, kind of.
Beautiful.
I'll-
Could be a
I'll-
lot of things, but we'll go with it.
I'll flesh that one out a little bit more.
Don't.
There's a mysterious explosion that's happened in a Virginia mine,
Mhm.
and the sheriff has called in his old friend who performs autopsies to understand what happened. And the more that we understand about
A medical
the
examiner.
situation, yeah.
Just some guy that performs autopsies.
I couldn't remember the name.
Yeah, you know, if you have a friend, he does it at parties. You know,
Yeah,
he does
yeah,
it
it's-
for
it's a fun trick.
bar mitzvahs, the
It's
whole
a
nine.
great trick.
Yeah.
No, but
You wanna see what I can do with the
essentially,
scalpel?
like the back half of the episode is him putting the pieces together
Mhm.
while the
By taking the
monster
people
is
apart.
emerging. Yeah, he's putting the
Ha-ha.
pieces of the mystery together while being like, okay, let's crack open some ribs real quick. And
Yeah.
he's narrating it like with his tape recorder while like the monster starts to emerge, and I love the climax of this. Just like the struggle between the examiner and the alien that's slowly trying to take over him.
Mhm.
Like, it's brutal. It's
Yeah.
horrifying in how he figures out like how to beat the monster. It's truly terrifying and like uncomfortable, but it's also like kind of badass where it's like, fuck yeah, take him down with you. That rules. Like, it's just a very satisfying one in comparison to a lot of these.
Yes.
And like, you get some great performances from F. Murray Abraham as the medical examiner. Like, it's really a spectacular episode, the way that they put it all together. I couldn't stop watching. I was
chef's
like,
kiss.
what's happening? What's happening
Yeah.
next? I gotta know.
He was very calm in finding out that aliens exist and they are parasites and they talk to people. Like, he just starts having conversation with the zombie. I'm like, brother, run.
He's just like, fuck it, I got stomach cancer.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
be
like,
dead
I'm
in
gonna
6
die.
months.
like
What's-
honestly, he goes,
Who gives a
fuck
shit?
it, we ball.
And I think-
and
I think that was important to the plot, right? Like, the reason he was
Yeah.
willing to sacrifice himself in that way.
Absolutely.
He's like, I'm gonna die
Mhm.
anyway. So like,
again, it's
fuck
why
it.
we get this conversation between him and the sheriff kind of kicking things off.
Mhm.
Is that like a recognition between the two of them that like things are changing, they're getting older, what do you do at a certain point? And for
Yeah.
him, it's I'm not going to enjoy life slowly wasting away,
Mhm.
so it's not so I'm going to kill myself
Cut my
because spoilers.
cardio artery and stab my eyes out with a scalpel.
Yeah, like
GG's.
spoilers by the end of this, like it's a kind of it's not a horrible bloody scene. Like it's not like there's some
Mhm.
things
But
that are
it's real.
spewed everywhere, but it's that there's two bodies on two different tables that the sheriff comes in and sees one of these was the cadavers recovered from the site and the
Poor
other is
Carl.
his friend. And then we see that the tape has successfully recorded the encounter. Like that was the
Yeah.
thing that he was so like, I have to do. Like it's such a great like thriller, dramatic, like, oh, but how's he going to get the evidence? How is somebody
Yeah.
going to know? Like if he dies, how will they know that that's what happened here?
Yeah.
Like,
and it's so great from the perspective of like, it's so satisfying in horror to watch smart people
yes.
be clever.
intelligent. Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah. And 2, watch somebody who's terrified but like takes a breath and does what they have to do. Like that's one of the things that
Mhm.
makes like the Alien series, well, the first 2 movies
Hmm.
so good because this
Yeah.
is somebody who's terrified but competent.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very satisfying.
Watching capable people be as such is always going to be satisfying, even within the sights of like something horrifying, right?
Yeah.
There's
it's
a
really
series that I've been wanting us to talk about for a while, but like it's another spooky series. Maybe we'll get to it at some point. But
Mhm.
the Fear Street series on
Mhm.
Netflix, it's 3 parts, and it deals with like part of what makes it so incredibly good is that you have really smart characters trying to put together something under very reasonable, believable circumstances of, well, we just don't have this information, or how are they going to discover this information? But within the first one, like because it's kind of looking at the like slasher killer kind of stuff,
Mhm.
you have all these smart characters, but within the last 15 minutes, you dumb them down a little bit because you have to put them in these situations
Yeah.
in order to allow the next thing to occur. And it's so frustrating when you've
Mm.
spent so much time with such a smart, capable character, but you've written yourself into a trap.
Ugh.
Whereas here, they thought through all the shit they needed to, kept what was relevant, and made sure that all of those loose ends tie up. Point A connects to point A 5 pages later. Like all the things work, and they don't leave room for, oh, but now how would he do that? He'd be too smart to not do that. Like,
ties up all its loose ends.
The autopsy, it's very, very, very cool. If you only watch one episode from this, it should be that one. I think.
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
The Outside.
we talked about doing a like tier list, like ranking our favorites, and I think we all sort of went, but we're all gonna pick.
But we're
the
all
same
gonna
one
pick
as
The
number
Outside,
one.
so The Outside. Sorry, The Autopsy. The Outside is what I'm thinking
now
about.
for the outside, yes.
I think this one might be the one I appreciate the most.
Really?
Yes.
That's fun.
So who wants to do a quick synopsis on this one?
Kaylee?
Wow.
This
Wow.
one shook.
She hasn't
me.
gotten to do one yet.
Sex-
No, I
Sexist.
haven't gotten to do one, and I'll see if I can remember all the intricacies about this one because the horror builds
Yeah,
differently.
you don't
for
have
the
to
outside.
intricate, just like
Um,
elevator pitch.
But we're slow introduced to what could be the home of a very burly, muscular taxidermist guy, except it's not. It's a small woman in her like 30s who is a taxidermist and her husband living together, and she constantly feels like she is on the outside of her social circles at work,
Mhm.
of other relationships in her life. Things aren't going great, and then she finds out about this magic lotion that makes your skin so soft and youthful and regenerates you, and she buys into it, and this product starts kind of taking over her life and her mind until it manifests in some creepy lotion blob man that she may or may not have relations with in a tub. And long story short, it leads to some form of a, like, psychosis breakdown and reaction to the substance, and slowly but surely, homegirl goes insane.
Yeah.
The end.
But the reason I appreciate this one is it's the most believable because it's the least supernatural. Because no, seriously, it is, because I read all of the monster stuff as, oh, that's happening in her head, right?
Sure.
And B,
this one just went so camp for me, though, that I went, the ideas of this are real, but this is beyond the place of realistic believability.
And that's why I really want to, as a female identifying person in this group, I really wanted to ask you, because this was an experience this was centered around an experience I understand, but is so far away from anything I go through as a guy, right? Because what is she on the outside of? She's on the outside of the mean girls, the cool girls.
Yeah,
but like the middle-aged version of that, as opposed to the high school.
It's a little stereotyped, but at the same time, it's that, well, when you look at your life, and your life is mostly, because of capitalism, consumed by, I live at work and I come home to spend time there. Those people in your office sort of become the, like, and now I compare myself to them all the time. I put myself in this roster of who am I to these people and who are they to me? And unfortunately, it can feel like high school all over again if you are on the outside. But then sometimes you have those women in those circles that know they're like queen bee at the office, and others who just don't observe that, don't recognize that feeling. And it could be something that is in your own head of thinking that you are on the peripheral, when really that's not the case. But
that's the point, right? Because
maybe it's just a difference of opinion, or just literally just more of a, like, I don't like socializing in the office, so I don't talk to people. I'm not trying to be mean to, like, just you. Sorry.
Well, not even that, but that's where, like, the campiness comes from, because it's definitely taking the very stereotypical popular girl group from
absolutely, we're playing it like it's high school.
Exactly, from your bad high school dramas, and just making them
going back to the mid-2000s.
Well, you just make them all 42. So what would these same 16, 17, 18-year-olds talk about if they were in their late 30s, early 40s? It's Regina George. Yeah, it's getting plastic surgery. It's miracles. It's about their affairs. It's when they finally get their divorce, blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
right. Which and that's where the camp
dicks. They talk about big dicks a lot.
They do once, but and then they definitely do the very much so it girl. One person has an original thought, and then we all parrot it for the paragraph, and then somebody else adds something to that, and we parrot that same phrase over and over again. That's not what I want to talk about.
You want to talk about Lotion Man?
I want to talk about Lotion Man, and
is the Lotion Man more Lotion Woman?
It was definitely a female actor in the suit.
Sure.
Yeah.
But again, I don't fucking care about the quote unquote monster. I care about the guy talking in the TV and how nobody else saw it, right? Because that's what's fascinating. That was what's fascinating to me. It's like, I can see this happening to a real person, and it doesn't necessarily have to be supernatural. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I put myself in those shoes, and if some dude started talking to me in the TV, I'd put on my scientist brain and be like, wait, how are you doing this? Obviously, there's some kind of surveillance. Are you looking through my phone? Turns off phone.
What the
Say
hell?
Something to me real quick. Well, I know there's a speaker in my remote. Takes out batteries from the remote. Hey man, do you want to talk to me again? Cool. We can still talk. Unplugs TV. Right? I'd start experimenting, but she just accepts it.
Say what again? I dare you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah.
For the Hippocratic method, say what again?
because like not only is she like, you know, deeply invested in TV, it kind of seems like outside of work and taxidermy as a hobby, like she and her husband just watch TV, and this is, I'm pretty sure, codified as like the 80s, so
Kind of
it's
sort
like
of, yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like a late 70s, early 80s kind
like
of
microwave
thing.
dinners, that sort
Yeah.
of thing. So like it's their form of information and entertainment. And like at the very beginning during the intro, Del Toro's talking about like the power of like the infomercial, like to be pretty, to be strong. And we hear that like voice throughout. And it's interesting how it mixes that of like what's happening and her internal dialogue and how it preys on her insecurities, because you see her going from like a happy person to being absolutely miserable while she's in the middle of this transformative process, and to the point at which like the one person in her life who's positive in her husband, who's just like, but I like you, you're wonderful, you're perfect, she eventually sees him as like an obstacle to overcome, to the point where, this is why I was saying like like she murders him, but it's full camp in
How
way.
would you react if your spouse stabbed you in the forehead?
Probably a lot of screaming, not like, "Oh, Stace, I think you stabbed me in the forehead," because that's how Midwestern men talk in the 80s movies.
No, dude, I think people experience shock in different ways. And again, maybe it's because I liked this one that I gave it the benefit of the doubt. But I'm like, yeah, if somebody stabbed me in the head with a scalpel.
No, I liked it. I just was like, where the hell? What?
Right.
"Oh, Stace, you stabbed me in the face, dear."
Yeah.
Oh.
It's very Midwestern. He's just like, anyways, I wonder if the Packers are playing right now. But not only that, she goes like full like misery light. You know, like she like takes the fire axe and like kills him with it. Like, and then taxidermies him later on.
Power move.
No, like there was so many like, and not like it's bad tonal shifts, but like still within this vein of kind of a campy horror.
Yeah.
Much more psychological, so there was a lot more like inner turmoil that we were being clearly shown. Like it wasn't that anything wasn't clear, but we went through these moments of like, suddenly we're very Stepford Wives camp, and now suddenly we're very like Ryan Murphy, like again, American Horror Story. It's a little bit like bordering on like the supernatural, but it's a little sexy kind of thing. But then we go back into Stepford Wives, and also, and I'm blanking on this movie, but it's the like, oh god, it's kind of regaining a cult resurgence. Gibby, the like one woman that wants to live forever, and she's trying to use the like body of another like younger woman. I've seen it emerging in like,
it's not Death
queer
Becomes Her,
circles
is
of
it?
like, this movie, we forget about this one when we talk about camp. But like various places of these sort of like pushing the extremes of believability and how the world functions within this piece, which is what I really enjoyed about it. It was just like this tonal whiplash after coming off of the autopsy that I sort of was like, I need a fucking minute.
Because you got like the full, like after she like axes and taxidermies her husband, she goes full girl boss back into work.
And that's the
just
wild
the
shit.
makeover.
She goes through this horrible experience. She does the wrong thing every time. She kills her husband, and it works out for her. And that's where like the weird morality, used to seeing morality plays in my brain. It's like, no, she should be punished.
Miracles.
Right. But you know,
well, it leads
she
you to
did nothing wrong. What the hell?
You sexy thing.
She did nothing right. Go see a doctor.
I believe in women's wrongs as well as women's rights.
To be fair, and in thinking of, well, what would Ian say? I would imagine like horror has kind of codified a certain language within us where you do expect kind of a little bit of that remnant of the morality play. Like people that do wrong things get punished. It's why you already can start telling who's the death flag, who like, unless they turn and change and help by this point, they're probably going to get killed off, whatever. Like this one does kind of play with that when you start thinking about it through those lenses of, no, she just became more and more of a shitty person.
And she got everything
and
she wanted.
Has been able to get everything she wanted out of this, which to some degree is unfortunately how the real world
Yes,
works.
exactly. That's why that's why I was able to let it go.
Which sucks, because then you start thinking about it in terms of the real world, and clearly this is some hyperbole camp scenario, and it starts to like really do some weird things to you if you think about it for too long.
Did all of the other women also murder their husbands, is my question.
They certainly want to. Those who are still married to him.
And that is an interesting question of, clearly here is someone with the means and the, like, by the end of it, the will and the capability to go through with such an act.
Yeah, is she the alpha dog now?
Right, and get what she wants out of it.
She is.
She's like framed as like the new it girl, the new leader, where like the blonde woman who was the leader was like the like alpha there, but now she's like, oh, you want to divorce your husband? That's cute.
I mean, the better question is, did all of them meet the lotion man? Which I assume the answer is no.
Lotion man, take me by the hand.
I'm ending this.
It's like the Hat Man.
Last one we'll cover today, because we only have we're already over time.
Oh shit.
Mother fucking this shit. The one I didn't finish. The one I'm gonna skip. Pickman's Model. Okay.
Woo!
So this one is actually a Lovecraftian story, and maybe next spooky season we'll read a couple of those and go through them, because now my experiences with Lovecraft have all been like, this is bullshit and this is boring and this is dumb. The synopsis of this is, and I kind of know how it ends, so maybe that didn't help, but the synopsis of this is, dude bros in a painting class, one guy comes in and paints scary shit, and he paints scary shit because he actually has seen it all. And it's like, okay. I'm serious, man.
Dude, there are children here. Put that away.
Right. No, but I'm serious, because I'm sitting here watching it, and I'm just going to go through my grievances one at a time. We cold open with titties. Why is this lady's boobs out? This adds nothing to the plot. This is no, fuck off. This is unsolicited titties that it doesn't add anything. Number two, why does Salem witch trial guy who can't decide if he's from Boston or Ireland, no offense, I'm acting as hard. Why is he in this class? Why is he painting this shit? Why is he showing it to people? Are you just a silly little guy? Are you trying to inoculate people? Do you get off on this? Because you're not interacting with anybody. You're completely passive. People ask you, hey man, what's going on? You're like, I've seen the things that nobody else has seen. It's like, motherfucker, I just asked if you wanted a glass of water. Okay. Like, relax.
The darkness.
Right. And then number three, it's like, okay, there's scary shit. We're not going to do anything about it. So who the fuck cares?
It's that, like, you know.
Number four is like, why do you keep digging into this guy's past? Obviously, he's a weirdo. You're starting all the conversations. Just leave him alone.
I think it's really.
Why does it number 6? Why does he want to win the paint thing? Why is he in the class in the first place?
You skipped number 5.
Because I'm pissed. Why does he even in the class? Why are you here, scary silly man?
I feel like Ian would have an explanation, but it would just piss you off.
100% would. And that's my thing, right? I feel like for these kind of stories, you have to have motivation for people to keep poking the bear when there's like something obviously wrong. You have no reason to poke the bear in this situation. Like he just does.
He has the reason of, like, he starts seeing like our perspective character Thurber starts seeing the scary shit
after he fucks with the scary guy.
You know, it's very much the perspective of he's like the jock of these
the jock of the painters.
Yeah, exactly. He's the sexy man painting the titties. Like that's how it goes. And so he's at like the top of the food chain, and this is the first bad thing that's ever happened to him. So like it chips away at him, and because of the social order, he's got to like. He can't explain to a therapist, of course, that he's seen some scary shit. He has to keep digging into it because he's...
Which the entire time, I'm just like, motherfucker, just disengage, right? It's not at all believable for me. And I understand how
Yeah.
it could be believable for folks, especially for people before the internet was a thing. So like for me, the viewer, I'm 100% certain this is a personal thing. I'm like, this is stupid. Just stop talking to him. Just walk away, and this entire thing is solved.
One, unfortunately, that is how Lovecraft's characters typically work.
Yeah.
It's I have seen something and I cannot stop thinking about this. Like something, I have been cursed. I have stumbled upon something with irreparable psychological consequence, because Lovecraft himself experienced life very much as a paranoid, xenophobic,
As a super racist.
many other things, man.
Racist.
That sensation is in the writing of so many of his first person characters, where it is that like
The racism?
yes, but also the sense of something is always coming for me, and I cannot tell anybody about this. I can't talk to anyone about this, but it will not stop gnawing in the back of my mind.
Lovecraft sees a black dude for the first time. He's like, what the fuck is that? Gets on a ship, goes to West Africa. He's like, holy shit, there's more of them.
Bet we're going to Providence next weekend. I'll see if we can find his house. I'll stand outside it and go, what the fuck?
I want to say this about this episode. I think technically it's a very well put together episode.
Yes, I do really enjoy this one. I think the ending is a little strange because we diverge from the story to go for the like scary monster time.
I got 20 minutes in. I was like, this is fucking bullshit. I stopped watching.
Yeah. like I think technically it's very good from the perspective of like the graphical work and like some of like bringing in those monsters like the witch and some of the demons. And I think the lighting is really important in this one too.
Oh, yeah.
So from like a filmmaking perspective, yes, but it is a frustrating story in that it's like walk away, my dude, talk to a priest or something. And I would say a lot of this one is scary, if not for the fact that Pickman has the worst accent. You're absolutely right, Bo.
Yeah.
Like this man the whole time is just like, oh my god, it's the Eldritch Horror from beyond the stars.
Unfortunately, that will immediately undercut half of Lovecraft's writing because he writes so often of people in Massachusetts.
So they all sound like that.
Unfortunately,
they all sound like they're ordering at a goddamn Dunkin' Donuts.
As soon as you start imagining that, it's hard to take half of it seriously.
Oh my god, Cthulhu! It's Cthulhu! But wait, here comes Tom Brady. Tom Brady's gonna beat the Eldritch Horror.
He's gonna tackle Cthulhu. 5 champions.
Gronkowski's more powerful than than anything the Eldritch Horrors can ever see. Does Cthulhu have 6 rings? No, he doesn't. Let's get some fucking Dunkin'.
I think we've actually been mispronouncing the name, though. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Pickman's model.
That would have been
it's suck a dick model as far as I'm concerned.
It's Dickman's model.
Dickman's model. Oh.
Now I'm just seeing like the collective works of H.P. Lovecraft getting Gronk spiked by Rob Gronkowski into the ground.
By me.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say that the horrors that were being like illustrated by these people were just dicks.
No.
The unspeakable horrors are just illustrations of penises.
All of Cthulhu's tentacles are just dicks. It's Cockthulu.
The king in yellow. The yellow
Don't search
is
that,
pissed.
kids. Don't search that.
We're gonna need to stop this episode because the tone is all off.
All of this done is cement to me that if you're one of those people who introduces yourself in company or whatever, he's like, I love H.P. Lovecraft. It's like, you're in some whack shit, brother. It's just lame as
Some
hell.
of it's really fun. Some of it's
Racist.
I do definitely give props for this one because the idea of you can get away with so much as an author writing about works of art that are too unspeakable
Right.
to like sort of thing. But then when you have the balls to be like, we're going to turn this into a film and we have to be able to like draw these pictures that drive people to madness.
And it's like, motherfucker.
Yeah, great.
Motherfucker, I was on DeviantArt this afternoon. I've seen worse.
Why were you on DeviantArt?
I was looking up some stuff.
That's
Don't
the
question
first
it.
question.
I was looking up some stuff. Don't worry about it. That has been this episode. That has been this episode of the Liberal Artist Podcast.
The next horror is actually going to be Bo's browser history.
No, don't. That's
Ooh,
been,
plot
Delete
twist.
this.
Plot twist. Secret second episode of Cabinet of Curiosities.
that has been this episode of the Liberal Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Follow us on our socials at Liberal Artist Pod on Instagram. Join us next time for part 2. We're extending spooky season, baby.
We can't let the forces of Santa into the month of November. He can't cross the barrier until he shows up in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Hold that fat bastard back.
Peace.
The Liberal Artists Podcast premieres every other Thursday on your favorite podcasting platform. The show is hosted by Bodio, Kaylie Horowitz, and Andy Gibson. You can find the show at Liberal Artists Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks to White Hot for performing the theme song Reflect, which can be found on freebeats.io. Now, I'm off to go exploring, and maybe, just maybe, I'll find a sheep that I can call my own. Good day.
Earlier, Gibby, you said something about Mariah Carey with the vault or what. I saw that tweet and I'm like, I know I said this on the podcast before. I that lady's a liar. It is. Everybody's a liar. That song that she wrote was not popular until like 15 years after it came out. It does not.
That feels
deserve...
like an H.P. Lovecraft curse, right?
Yeah, right. Everybody has this.
The eldritch horror that is Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey from beyond the stars.
Everybody is like, when I was a kid, that song was everywhere. No, the fuck it wasn't. You're all lying to yourselves. Stop it.
Her whistle tones drive men to madness.
All of America that's listening right now, don't start playing the song. Don't give in to the department stores.
Don't do it.
It's not real. You're all lying to me and you're all lying to yourselves. Fuckers.